Start. Hello. Today we are speaking to a local hairdresser, Margaret Black, and we are looking at how our hair changes as we age. So I just want to introduce you to Margaret. And Margaret, you have been a hairdresser for how long?
Well, I've been a hairdresser for 20 years.
That is a while, and during that time, you'd have had to deal with a range of
Yes,
heads.
I've had the opportunity to meet people of different nationalities across my industry. And with that in mind, I've also had the opportunity to deal with diverse hair types per se.
Okay. And so today we're primarily concerned with women and women who are in the middle of their lives, basically. So midlife women. So can you say something about how or whether uh, the hair is different for women who are in the middle of their lives as opposed to
Well,
other stages?
obviously, each stage of life your whole body change, likewise the hair. But in particular, I will address the hair. So if you notice, whenever a baby is born, as they grow, the hair changes,
Yes.
falls out, grow back, sometimes grow back different. But at the moment, we're going to be focusing on middle-aged ladies and older.
Right.
So as we age, in particular, age 40 and above, our bodies lose collagen, which contributes to healthy skin and hair keratin.
Yeah.
Those are two main components. In order to sustain it, I would say, or to replenish, as a general rule, we could say that there are those two main nutrients can be replenished via supplements and externally through good hair care regimens as much as you can, because one is also affected by different health conditions which may make it difficult, but as much as you can mitigate the risk by supplementing and looking after the hair.
Right. And you mentioned supplements, but is there anything that we can do naturally in terms of foods that we eat that will help to either slow down or let's hope perhaps it reverse the process? Is that possible?
Yes, some processes are reversible. So again, it's also based on your lifestyle, like hairstyling, whether it naturally depletes, and also genetically. So it depends on the extent of hair change you're having or hair loss. So it's not a one size fit all. So you have to tailor it according to your needs. But to a large extent, healthy hair is starts from within, I would say.
Yeah.
So proper diet is like a main factor. And along with that, for those especially who have busy lifestyles and just about anyone, if you're not able to incorporate everything, this is where supplement comes in.
Yeah.
So, as you ask, there are various types of food
Yeah.
that is relevant, I would say, to replenish those two nutrients. So, women in their 40s should focus on having a good intake of food rich in protein and collagen. So, you need to top up with your B12, magnesium, and those of us who live in a cold country, we don't get the sun all year, so vitamin D is also important.
Yeah.
However, great caution should be taken first by consulting with your GP,
Yeah.
because some medications do interact with some of these supplements. So it's always very, very important to discuss this with your GP first before going ahead.
Great. Thank you for that. So apart from the nutritional side, is there any, in terms of managing your hair, taking care, if you have a hair care regimen, how would that change as you get older?
Having a good hair care regimen
Mm.
can also be a very helpful thing
Hmm.
in terms of hair care.
Yeah, what does good look like?
That also is based on people's budget and their needs as well. Because I've come across some people who probably will just do well with using a good shampoo.
Hmm.
Others need to do regular hair treatments. It all depends on the hair structure,
Hmm.
which I mentioned earlier, as you have to take genetics into consideration. So you can have someone at age 40 still with a good healthy head of hair compared to someone same age, different type of hair, but for medical and other reasons they would be experiencing hair falls, hair loss on a more regular basis.
Yeah.
So my approach is always to tailor it according to my client's needs. So it's not really a one size fits all in this
Hmm.
case.
Yes.
So usually it begins with a good consultation and then we take it from there.
Okay.
From there you could arrange treatment packages or treatment regimen to suit each person.
Okay.
But as much as I see, it varies because some people has natural hair, some also has chemically processed hair.
Hmm.
So you tailor it. This is what I mean by you tailor it according to the needs.
Hmm.
That means you should be in contact with your hairdresser, as I said earlier, to start with, find
Yeah.
out what you need most,
Hmm.
and you take it from there.
Okay. Thank you. So, in terms of a hairdresser, if I were an older person and I was looking for a hairdresser, what are some of the things that I would, some of the qualities, some of the, yeah, the qualities that I'd look for in when I'm choosing a good hairdresser,
You,
according to my age and stage of life?
that has nothing to do with age, really. One
Mm.
is as young as they feel, and in terms of a quality hairdresser, I would say it depends on your needs because I have some clients who I would say they're not hair persons, meaning they're not afraid of doing a big chop.
Yeah.
And by doing a big chop, oftentimes it depends on the look. The end result depends on what you actually come in with. So, someone with a fairly healthy hair, no hair loss around the perimeter, etc., just wants a low maintenance. If they can embrace a very short hair and they feel good about it, then that's fine. So it depends on one's need and what style they're interested in. So if those people cut their hair short and they have no other issues, oftentimes you'll find that it stays healthy
Yeah.
because the strength of the hair is in the roots of
Okay.
it. You have other ladies who will not embrace a haircut and simply want to look after what they have, then they would have to get into a regular routine of looking after the hair because the strength of the hair lies at the roots and anywhere from the midlands down is prone to dryness, damage, and result breakage and unhealthy hair. So they need to do more maintenance. But those customers often prefer to embrace the hair rather than cut it off. So then they have to look after the hair more
Yes.
in that
Yes.
sense.
Okay.
Those who cut their hair will cut their hair like at least once a month so they won't have the issue of maintaining a hair shaft.
Okay, that's great. So, what about some of the issues that happens as we age? So, things like grayness. Some women experience hair loss in terms of things like alopecia. Um, what have you seen in your practice as a hairdresser with regard to these two areas, and what kind of effect does that have on the women that you deal with?
Okay, gray hair for some people,
Mm,
it's it's a case of them accepting or not accepting. So some clients, let's start with the ones who are not ready for it then in codes, like
yeah.
meaning they will not allow the hair to stay gray.
Hmm.
So the solution is often to color it if you're not
Yeah.
at that stage,
Hmm.
because it takes different patterns as it grows. Some people can have a patch, some have what they call a pepper seed, meaning different places, and some are lucky, I would say, if they really want it, to have it happening in one go.
Mm.
So for those people who are not ready for it, then the solution is to color the hair. As to what type of color, you probably would want to ask me.
Mm.
Most times, the best coverage you can get from coloring on a gray hair would be either a permanent or a demi-permanent
Mm.
for good coverage, because gray hair would have lost the pigments,
Yes.
and a normal semi-permanent would just will not work. It gives a very translucent coverage, I would say.
Yeah.
So the best ones would be either a good demi-permanent, or a permanent. Now, for those who really want to embrace the gray hair, on the other hand, there is a new trend now called gray blending.
Okay.
Gray blending. So rather than having a full coverage, they would go for a softer solution, which could be a non permanent color in some cases, depends on the type of hair. So you'll find that they could get away with a light coverage using a very good quality semi-permanent, where people with stronger hair types like 4C, it wouldn't work on their hair. So what they do these days is to focus on just blending the grays with the other hairs rather than opting for a full coverage. And then with time, as the hair transition into full gray, you will have the effect of kind of a low light
Yeah.
look.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the solution to deal with gray hair.
And the loss, the hair loss.
Hair loss, that one is a big topic, a very, very big topic. There's no one reason why people lose hair. Some is attributed to stress, some is what we call trichological issues, which it could only be confirmed by visiting a trichologist, which we would often refer you to, because that is outside the scope of just a hairdresser. So you'd have to work alongside a trichologist and your hairdresser.
Mm-hmm.
So the job of a trichologist is to go or to look beyond the surface of the hair. So hair growth starts at the roots. So they would look at your follicles, and then that way they'll be able to determine what's really causing your hair loss,
Yeah.
and then they'll be able to prescribe something that would help you or simply won't help you,
Yeah.
because it take alopecia for example. If someone's follicles is dormant, then there might be some type of treatment to reactivate them
Yeah.
over some time. But that again too is trial and error, because unless you pinpoint the real factor, there may be little or no result. But here that is the follicles are dead per se.
Yeah.
There's no coming back for that. And it's often caused by things like traction alopecia, which the follicles go completely dead, stop growing, and there's nothing at all that will.
Nothing at all.
No, the only solution in some cases that I've seen is where people go and get hair transplant. And that also depends on the clinic that you attend and also the chances of it going back. But to be honest, in those stages, there are some people that just embrace it because it could have happened due to health issues, a common one like cancer.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's more important to live than to, worry about your hair in that case.
Yeah.
So those clients normally just accept the reality
Yeah.
and wear the wigs. Or I've seen ladies that just go around with, with the boy cut or just bald and
Yeah.
they're just happy for life.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for that. So, to summarize, what would you say if you had to leave us with, say, 3 tips for a healthy head of hair going forward?
Okay. Going forward for people like myself and you who's been coming to me so long, who, thankfully has hair that we embrace and we look after. To maintain a healthy head of hair, there's, for me, in my practice or my salon, I design a strict hair regimen package for clients who are willing to go for it. So it's just a series of hair treatments that I would call intensive
Yeah.
of various forms that they come in, they just pay for the service upfront, and I design the package and they come in periodically. So it could be, if for the natural hair, it could be every month. For chemically processed hair, could be 3 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 weeks, and maybe 2 weeks, or 2 weeks to start with, and then 3 weeks, 3 weeks. For the ones that have been doing that so far, there is vast improvement. So they address issues, sorry, about the hair shaft, breakage, dryness, and those issues. And there are some people who address issues like length retention and hair growth. So the treatment in general stimulates hair growth.
Okay.
And it's a kind of way of nurturing the hair, preventing breakage as well, because those treatments are designed to strengthen and stimulate hair growth.
So, that's one way to have a bespoke package
And
that's suitable to
obviously,
you.
I recommend, I always have a little small talk with my clients as well and find out if their intake of healthy food and water is sufficient. And if not, I advise them to check with your nutritionist or GP and see what supplements you need. Or you could do your own little trial and error, like I said, if you feel like it's good enough based on your last, visit, or some would have gone to the extent of checking the health of the hair through a trichologist.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the third thing, the last one, you're giving us three. So you mentioned
Okay.
3 things. So the
Try
last
not
one,
to stress too much,
no
because
stress, no stress.
stress,
Yeah.
although we can almost live with stress every day, try to minimize it as much as you can,
Yeah.
because that is a factor as well. Medicines, I wouldn't say to incorporate that because it's necessary for other health conditions, but try to stay focused, think positive, take life one day at a time.
Thank you. So, on that note, thank you very much for sharing those words of wisdom with us. Practical advice as well about how we can go into our advanced years gracefully with healthy hair or even without.
Thanks for
As the case may
having
be.
me for this interview.
This is fantastic. And so, where can we find you? Your salon.
I'm based in Ilford, 46 Ilford Hill, IG1,
Yes.
2 Alpha Tango, 280. That is.
Great. And the name of your salon is.
I'm trading on the Elegant You Hair and Beauty, but I'm located inside the Barber Zone.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you for your time and thank you for your advice.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.